Bam. Say hi.
Hi.
To Chris.
Wow, we're live. That was fast.
Yeah, fast. Oh, Charlie's low.
Uh-oh, I'm in the bottom. Even though I'm a top.
Charlie's high. Charlie's mid. Yeah, that new way of doing it is actually better because I get the show title in up front and it goes live faster. So I actually like this better.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, good for us.
Yeah.
So here we are, halfway through November. COVID's running rampant, which is no surprise to me. I said COVID's running rampant because people are inside.
Need one of those
being goofy.
Facebook banners
that says
this information is disputed by our independent fact checkers.
Okay.
Sorry.
So exactly halfway through November. One of, I think, 5 months that has 30 days, which makes it the 15th. And
Yeah.
I was going to say which makes me Chris, but it doesn't. I'm not dependent upon the date. But I am Chris.
And I'm independently Charlie.
And we're
Eight balling.
eight balling.
That's right.
Hey, I found some art.
Yeah, look at that. You know what I like about... Huh?
Go ahead.
I need some art.
I found some art.
I have art.
A really
you found
cool
some
8-ball, like an old kind of antique 8-ball, to frame for the new media room.
Yeah.
And I found, the flaming 8-balls that are flying in on our little intro page.
Yeah.
I found a neon sign that's exactly that. It's so cool.
Oh, shit. No, wait.
Yeah.
That's so funny. And I was thinking about it, and I don't know why I never made this connection before, but there's a commonly known app that you can get called 8-Ball Pool. And I'm pretty sure they have, like, the same logo. It's like a flaming 8-ball flying in. It's like 8-Ball Pool. Fuck it. We're going to take it. They can sue us. It's fine.
No, we don't want that. You don't want to get sued.
Let's just have a conversation about it.
When you have something to lose. If we were an LLC, I'd say fuck it. They can take our cameras. We'll buy more.
Oh, well, I'll get that rocking. I got some free time. I can work that out.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but 8-ball stuff's cool. I like just 8-ball shit in general. It's just funny. Like if I had like 8-ball art, it would, I don't know, it would be kind of fun to have that in the house.
It's really neat. It's like the fake aged, print, like a distressed. And there's an 8-ball, and I have it all ordered. I just got to click. I don't know if I want 2. You haven't seen the room. I'll take pictures of the room. I don't know if I want 2 on the walls opposite the end of the table or just 1 someplace. 2 might be a bit much, but it also might be cool.
They're like identical. You might be going for some symmetry there. I don't know how I feel about that.
Right. Could be cheesy too much.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, if you don't know what we're talking about,
awesome. Yeah.
I'm taking what was originally the master bedroom in this house, because this is all set up on the pool table, from which came 8-balling, ultimately, and moving it into that back bedroom so that I can have my pool table back through this long quarantine, self-quarantined winter. I just want to be able to play pool again anyway. So there you go.
You mean lose it pool?
I can't lose if I'm playing alone. I guess I can if I'm just if I'm a 2-time loser.
Fuck. God
Fuck,
damn
I
it.
lost again. Who won? I don't know.
I used to do that so much. Yeah. I used to do that so much down in Florida that I got really good at it, like just playing by myself. So I just do like a shot counter, like one of those click, 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 one of those things.
Uh-huh.
And that was how you go winner loser. Am I good? Am I
Well,
bad?
shooting from the
But
chair.
It's very different when you're just hitting your own. Yeah.
Go ahead. Shooting from the chair
I was just gonna say it's very different.
It's very awkward. And if I don't play regularly, I forget how to position myself, because it's not like anything else you do in life. Because there's only really, since I'm right-handed, there's only, I can only really turn this way, and have the cue behind me. So again, just getting used to positioning myself. It's not just like standing, and there aren't options turning this way and turning that way. So if I go months without shooting, I really lose ground. And I haven't shot pool since we set this up. Yes.
Well, I'll be there to smoke you in it. So
thank you very much.
Of course. Anyway, on to the real hard-hitting news of the day.
Yeah, so
There's
you
this
don't
girl
see
that I
this.
used to talk to in high school. Never mind.
Hang on, I'll tell you. I titled this.
Inappropriate.
We're not. We got to stay away from that. I titled this. What did I title it? I titled it. Where'd it go? I don't know. Huh. Do we have a Prez and a Veep? I think that's what I titled it. Whatever.
Yes.
You think we do? Okay.
100%. I think much hasn't changed in the last, 3 years. But I think it's still President Donald Trump and Vice President Michael Pence. But I could be mistaken. I know there's a president-elect goes by a different name, but...
Yeah, it's occurred to me that the thing that people are arguing about something that hasn't changed, which is the press calls.
That's what I'm saying. He's still the fucking guy in the chair.
No, I know, but to take it, if you go to CNN or MSNBC, it's still all they're talking about. Why is he doing this? Blah, blah, blah. He's doing it because there's a process. Oh. I mean, he's maybe taking it a little too far, and some of the people are maybe taking it a little too far. That having been said, there's a process, right? If you're within so-and-so percent, you're afforded this. If you're within 0.5%, there's an automatic recount. And he's, you know what? Again, like I said last week, show me somebody that's happy about losing, and I'll show you a fucking loser. So he's doing what you do. And you know what else? There was, I don't know if you've seen, I'm sure you've heard this, or maybe not. Apparently, a few states are using a partially computer automated system. And this is the first year. And apparently there were some anomalies that resulted in a couple of thousand erroneous counts, which aren't enough to make a difference. But that having said, if a computer/computer program is making mistakes, you should correct that now through an audit, because you want it fixed. You always want to improve the process by auditing what you've done, correcting it, and making it better the next time. I mean, there's no reason not to get closer. So what's the big fucking deal? But I
want to go back just a second.
Okay.
You said a couple thousand counts. What I had read was a couple of thousand localities.
Oh.
So it's like 2.7 million votes nationwide or some shit was what I read.
Okay, this was a couple thousand votes in a state.
Oh, they had one in Michigan alone that was 6,000 votes. That was one county alone in Michigan.
Really?
It was enough to flip yeah.
If you extrapolate and make some serious assumptions. But all the more reason to do the recount.
Totally.
Or
totally
check
agree.
this out.
I just want to... Yeah.
Even if let's extrapolate, and let's say he still loses by a thinner margin. But anyway, you do the audit, you get better. What's the fucking hang up?
Why not?
So people are not quite losing their mind, but just getting all too torqued up about this on CNN and MSNBC. It's what they're fucking talking about. Get a new topic.
I'm at the point.
Get a new topic.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm at the point. And I even called you where I was pissed off about... I called Chris in the middle of the day. I'm like, fuck it. I was all torqued up. I'm like, they're using this fucking language, these sons of bitches. I just needed to bitch with somebody about it. I needed to let some steam off, so I called him, and I'm like, this cocksucker, Cory Booker is just fucking using this terminology. And the word specifically was baseless. And I said, if you're a fucking man, then put your name on it and call him out as a liar and say he's lying. Don't say, these are baseless claims, whatever. But I came back. Chris calmed me down. He got me back into good shape, fighting shape. But I just had the same realization again where I'm just happy about it either way. And I'm at the point actually now where if they actually do call the election for Trump, I've gotten myself so psyched up about having a Biden presidency because of the freedoms that it will grant me as a I almost called myself a news broadcaster.
As a podcaster?
As somebody who likes to be afforded their right to freedom of speech. I think it's just going to be better because we're the underdog now, because they're in the well, not we, but it's the side that hates free speech will be in power.
I'm not a part of.
There we go. Right. Yeah. I don't have a card. I don't know. I actually do have a Trump 2020 card, but
I'm as much on an island as anybody, in terms of affiliations and thoughts and all that. I mean, I'm way independent. Right. I got to tell you something.
LP keeps sending me shit.
I was watching. Who's LP?
Libertarian Party. They keep sending me stuff in the mail, like, hey, do you want to? They're like, you forgot to get your Joe Jorgensen sign this year. And I'm like, no, I didn't forget. I'm like, don't worry about it.
They have their eye on you. I got a lot of stuff from Republicans and Democrats, which tells you I'm going places that are not consistent. But anyway, listen.
I get mail from everybody.
Yeah. I didn't get one piece of MAGA stuff, if it actually says MAGA. But I got, part of it might be age. Like maybe that appeals to, a younger conservative. And if they think I'm older conservative, they know all that shit. It's fucking scary how much stuff is out there.
Oh, it's freaky, yeah. Anyway, what were you going to say?
I was watching Rogan, and part of that New York crew that Malice is with, you know all those guys. He's thin, dark hair, very short, neatly trimmed. I don't think so. I think he's Jewish, smart guy.
Dave Smith.
Yeah,
Dave Smith.
Maybe it is Dave Smith. He was on Rogan.
I don't know if he's short, but
no, he's not short. His beard's short, nicely trimmed.
Oh yeah. Dave Smith. Yeah, you're describing Dave Smith. Yes.
Yeah.
Libertarian. Anarchist. Libertarian would hate. He would hate that I said that about him. So no, he is an anarchist. Yeah.
He did not identify himself as an anarchist. So he's
did he give
one of Malice's buddies. Is that one of the guys you met?
Yeah. Chewing
the fat in that room?
No, I didn't get to meet him, but I would have loved that. My sister has a huge hard-on for Dave Smith. I like him a lot. He has this comedy special called Libertas, which is free on YouTube. If you haven't watched it, it's fucking hilarious, and it's all like, it's like if you grew up in my household, it was like that comedy special was invented for you. But obviously, there's only a few people that fit the bill.
I liked him.
Check it out.
I liked him a lot. He was
great.
Funny. He was very well informed.
Did you like him more than a friend?
I didn't like him more than a friend. No.
Okay. Never mind.
But so they got into podcasting, and when Rogan started, and when that MTV guy, kind of unofficially started the first podcast. I forget his name. But then Howard Stern was talking about it, and I think Rogan said it was 2015. And they're like, that comedian, Joe Rogan, he does a podcast, and it's when he was getting, 5,000 views a day or something like that. And and Douglas Murray called it Rebel Radio, which I love, which is exactly what it is. So it's gone from 800,000 to now the latest is there's 1 million podcasters right now, which is kind of bad for us numbers wise, but it's cool because it's just fucking rogue journalism. What did you call it? Freedom fighters or?
I don't know.
But anyway, they're talking.
A ton of things.
They're talking to Stern, and they're like, "Yeah, that guy Joe Rogan." He's like, "Yeah, the comedian guy." They're like, "Yeah, he does a thing called a podcast." And he's like, "What's that?" He's like, "You just get on the internet, and he's just having conversations." And they're just talk. It's on YouTube, and he's like, "There's, back then they probably said there's thousands of people doing it, and it's like you can swear and say more or less whatever you want, much like you going to XM radio from, regular terrestrial radio. And
right.
And he goes, that sounds like little more than shouting out a window. And when he said that, I'm like, that is what it is, and that's why it's awesome.
Yeah, it's just you have the ability to change whose window you're sitting outside of. Yeah.
Right, but the whole reason I started this was I didn't want to shout at the TV in my bedroom. I wanted to shout out a window, right? And it happened to be
You're
the
like,
window. Yeah. Open the window and actually shoot it out. But
hell yeah.
The literal window is the internet. So, do we get 50 viewers or, one day do we get 50,000? So I just thought that was really neat. Stern was like, you might as well, what the fuck is this? You might as well shout out a window. I'm like, exactly.
Wait, and Joe Rogan will attribute his own start to none other than someone who I've met in person, which is like, whatever, as I'm such a fangirl, it blew my mind. But Anthony Cumia, if you watch an Anthony Cumia Joe Rogan episode, he'll say, I started this because of you, because of what you did. And I saw how well you're doing it and what it was and that how easy it was. He's like, you're doing it in your fucking basement. And so that was really cool to have that. Joe Rogan's like, this is all because of you. I say it like he's talking to me, no. But
well, it's cool. I mean, I
fucking love Cumia as a broadcaster.
Yeah, I mean, I spent a little more money than you need to get started. But I mean, we started this broadcasting in HD, with good audio. Which is
fucking phenomenal
freaking cool as hell, because, I would say relative to, a Rogan setup, his is a 10. This is an 8. And to do that in radio, you couldn't do it. 2 guys, 1 guy, whatever you want to call it, you couldn't set yourself up to broadcast on FM. It costs probably hundreds of thousands of dollars and licenses and all that stuff. And this is just...
The studio at fucking Compound Media is... Like, they have the same goddamn mics. It's the same shit. Obviously, their camera setup is a little bit more complex, and their TriCaster, which I think itself is like a $25,000 piece of equipment. But, it's like the same fucking audio. you don't wear headphones, but it's like... You do a good job, and it makes a difference for sure. I'm kind of sucking our own dicks right now. Or your own dick.
These cameras are 9s out of 10s. I mean, if we weren't broadcasting, if I wasn't doing this wireless, we could upload at a better stream and get, true 1080p. But anyway, I digress. But I just thought that was pretty neat. And, God, what did I say Douglas Murray called it? Rebel Radio. I love it, man.
Rebel
I freaking
Radio,
love it.
And there is a podcast company out there called Rebel Media, but it's Canadian. I don't really like them. Canadians. That's where Gavin McKinney started. Anyway, it's cool, and you can talk to people about whatever you want, and people don't
and you
have
can
to
say
listen
fuck,
to it, which is another thing that I like, as opposed to cable, which you're paying for it anyway, right?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
And you can say fuck.
Fuck. Can you? Have we been able to say that in the past?
Fucking A, man.
Speaking of fucks, what I wanted to talk about on the show today was an article that I read about I'm pretty sure it's a city council commissioner, but it's a city and fuck me, I don't know the difference. I failed that civics class. But a Portland city council member by the name of some lady, who has kind of been spearheading the defund the police movement out there, was recently put in an article for calling the police due to a Lyft ride dispute. So she wants to get rid of cops, and she's like, when she's having an argument with a Lyft driver, she's like, what's your first reaction? I'm gonna call 911 on this fucker and have the police deal with this problem. And it's like, if you're gonna call the cops over something that small, you should be in no way, shape, or form movement that is pushing for the reduction in funding for police.
Did she call 911?
Yes, and so did the guy. Cops actually showed up.
I heard that exchange, and that was a person on city council.
I swear to God, it's like it was like her bill or her amendment or whatever that they were voting on.
Wow. I heard that exchange.
$18 million reduction or moving of funds. Yeah.
I heard that exchange, and I don't know if and why, what its relevance was in terms of, hey, this is news. But I did not, maybe I missed the beginning, and it said this is a Portland City Council. Wow.
And it's the person who's like her name is on the amendment that they voted on, and it didn't pass, of course, because you're not saying, hey, we're gonna take $18 million out of the city coffers and give it back to you guys, back to you, the people.
Yeah, you're just gonna do something stupid with it.
We're gonna put it into a fucking, and it says obviously her thing. The headline is, invest in our community or whatever. And I'm like, having police is an investment in the community. What the fuck are you talking about? It's a community service. The dishonesty is so rampant. Well, and again, I don't know if it's just stupidity or what, but.
And the irony is the people you think you're appeasing are the people who want more police protection.
I almost said need, but yeah, want is good. Yeah. And because
right?
she did not need a cop at that time.
And it's the silent majority that Charlie and I were talking before the show, and I'm tired of sitting on the sidelines. It's time to speak up because this country's losing its way, and
the pussification of America.
Just putting out facts and data to tell stories is. If you know who John McWhorter is, or you know who Coleman Hughes is, or you know who, who's the other guy? I forget. But they all talk a lot, and these are three black guys. Two of them are PhDs. One's a young guy who's already a fellow at Columbia University, and they take a pragmatic approach to. How are we going to fix the world, or the United States and the problems, and blowing shit out of proportion, and running with numbers that aren't true, and exacerbating little bits of truth to satisfy a narrative. It's the wrong fucking. You just make problems worse. You create problems.
That's what I think about
as much as you do. Is you fix anything, if
that's
not more.
All the terminology that people use to define. When we talked about this on a show like 3 weeks ago, systemic racism, that thing is a small problem that you just saw was happening in thousands of places, and you're like, oh, these 1,000 things combined become this big thing, which is a system of racism. And you're like, no, it's just racism on it's the you and me level, or the me and three guys and another guy level. Yeah.
What's the guy's name? Dave
Smith.
He didn't take credit, so this is third hand. He said he and another guy were talking about, Black Lives Matter, systemic racism, and he's like, if you really want to get rid of and or improve the police force so that unarmed citizens aren't getting shot, let's call it the ridding the system of, how did he put it? But like ridding the system of rogue, murderous policemen. And then he's like, who won't get behind that? Right? Who doesn't want to get rid of murderous policemen? Let's call it what it is. And who's going to say that's a bad idea? We're getting guys who want to kill people off the police force. Who won't support that?
Yeah.
And it
that's
was
what
like,
I love about libertarians in general, but yeah.
Yeah.
He'll say stuff like that. He'd be like, so a war, let's call this what this is. You're going to go overseas and kill innocent people in their homes. It's like, wait a second, who's voting to go kill innocent people at their homes? Oh, I don't want to do that. Let's go to war. War, yeah.
Right.
It's like, he's great
let's
at that.
Call it,
yeah,
let's call it limited military operations with huge, what's the word I'm looking for? With huge civilian casualties. Or civilian casualties accompanied by occasional military exercises.
Tactics or exercises, right? Not even necessarily skirmishes or whatever. Just
right.
You just sometimes go out while we're killing your friends.
Who's going to support
he's really
that,
fucking
right?
great at that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's really where he shines. But
that's why I'd love to do this full time. To have time to really think those things out and make your points. Yeah. Kind of like the spreadsheet. I got to recreate that.
Rogue.
But I was telling Charlie, one of the ways. What do we want to do? What's one of the problems we want to solve in the United States? Lifting up people who maybe even systemically or huge, a huge, if you know what a tolerance stack is in like manufacturing, a coincidence stack where, this coincidence on top of this coincidence on top of this coincidence pretty well says you're statistically screwed in terms of being able to provide yourself a life when you're an adult. So let's grab that population and let's not make it categorically a skin color or a geographical demographic or whatever. Let's just say, people who live in poverty, which is money, and generally money solves your problems in terms of food, shelter, and clothing, right? There's high correlations there. So let's take people who can't provide themselves food, shelter, and clothing because they don't have enough money and figure out how to get money in their hands by giving them tools and skills and shit like that. And let's not make it a fucking big emotional thing with incendiary titles and pictures and web pages that are divisive. Let's just look at numbers. And let's just start looking at numbers and statistics. And I was telling Charlie, doing a thing called a Pareto analysis, which is let's go after low-hanging fruit with the best tools and fix fucking problems. And let's not make this...
In other words, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's the reverse of a snowball effect in terms of a problem. It's like you're going to snowball the problem where you start... It's like you said, Pareto analysis, and it becomes bigger. You gain momentum in terms of problem resolution. But that's where you're going with that. Yeah, it's super simple, and you think about it like that. It's just easy to conceptualize and for the layman, I think.
And I'll tell you, so like McWhorter and this guy Coleman Hughes is kind of new to the scene. God, who's the other guy?
Dave Smith. I'm just kidding.
No, it's a black guy with a PhD from a Ivy League school. I think he's Brown. And then there's the economist who's like 90. What's his name?
Thomas Sowell.
Yeah. Oh God, people either love him or freaking hate him.
I just like him because he's been talking about like welfare and like the fucked up things about welfare since like Milton Friedman was alive.
But he's an economist. He goes out after it with facts and data and numbers.
Yeah. He's Chicagoan, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, on his School of Economic Thought. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, this stuff's great. Those videos actually like get me so they like span my mind so much just in terms of like thought, Michael Malice calls them IAs, imaginary arguments, like thought experiments. I love watching that shit because it's like America has gotten to such a point right now where no one is even discussing that shit on an open level because it's like not sexy politics. We'll be like, the reason that there's problems in America is because you're taxing, whatever. And it's like, because there's racism. Oh, fuck. And I forgot to say this part of the story. The woman that I have to backtrack, otherwise I'm going to forget it. The woman that called the police for her Uber or whatever Lyft discrepancy. This is her quote as to kind of why she did it. So she said, "This is another example of being black in America and being put in a position where I have to be the one to look out for my personal safety." That's what she said. She called the fucking cops so they would look out for her safety.
What happened? He wanted her... Oh... He had the window open, right? Because he was afraid of COVID.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And she wanted him to roll the window up. Yeah, this is the same story, right?
She wanted the driver, to roll the windows up.
This is the same story, correct?
And
yeah.
Correct. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is our Portland City Council member.
So here's an important thing to start with. Sorry to interrupt you. But the Uber driver or Lyft driver, whatever, has the windows down because...
Which is their policy.
Because he doesn't... To protect himself from COVID.
Or to protect himself from Lyft, who wants them to protect... Whatever the reason is, that's Lyft's policy. Yeah.
So keep going. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. No, there you go.
But that's hugely important.
Right, it is. So that's why he had it down. So she says in her quote, "This is an example of being black in America, yada, yada.
But wait.
I look out for my own personal safety."
Hang on.
What?
You can start the quote over. So the windows are down.
Oh, sorry.
She's insisting to the driver, put the windows up. I want the windows up. And he's like, I'm not doing it. And there's this big argument between the two. And he's like, you know what, lady? I'm done driving you. And he pulls over and he says, get out of my car. And the whole thing is about she is completely going after him because he won't put the windows up. And she decides it's racism.
Yeah.
Which is where your quote starts. Basically.
I don't know that. I don't think that's where. I think that the media manipulated it into that being the story, whereas I think her quote demonstrates that she just meant supremacy in general. White supremacy in general made me call the police because I was scared for my safety. So she said, when you're living in a city where white supremacists are proudly riding around in their big trucks with their flags, and you're a black person and somebody wants to put you on the side of the road at night, not going to happen. So she's claiming that the reason she called the cops is because she felt that because she lived in a city where there's these big trucks with their flags driving around, which, by the way, when I see flags, it's just an American flag on a big truck. I don't really ever see swastikas or any shit.
And we're talking about Portland, right?
Portland, fucking Oregon. Yeah, we're not talking about Viola Battery, Alabama. Jesus Christ.
I think pickup trucks are illegal in Portland, Oregon, if I remember right. I think there's a city ordinance again. No, I'm joking.
Oh, fuck off. I was like, no fucking way. Anyway, so, and by the way, if you read the rest of this article, they discuss what the dispatcher said to them. And so she calls, the council member calls the police first and says, hey, this guy's making me get out of my car or get out of his car or whatever. And then the dispatcher has to explain to her the simple principle of personal property rights and that you no longer have a contract because the ride was canceled and it's within the policy that you agreed to when you first entered into that contract, that you're now invading or you're violating his personal property rights, that being you're in his car when he's asking you not to be. And then so after she calls the police, he calls the police, and then he's like, this fucking chick won't get out of my car, you know? And we don't have any, we're no longer contractually obligated to do business together. I've asked her to leave. She won't get out of the car. What do I do, you know? And so cops show up and they're like, you have to get out of here. So it blows my fucking mind that someone like that is in the first place, even on the whatever board or the council. Actually, you know what? It is Portland, so maybe it shouldn't blow my mind. But, and then the fact that you're like, oh, fuck, if this is my, you know, like you have to, at some point you have to, Michael Mouse calls it eating the sweater. Like if you wanted to return a sweater to Macy's and they're like, fuck you. At some point you have to eat the Lyft ride. You have to just accept it and cut your losses because you have to understand that the property rights thing is going to come out in the end. It is going to end up being his car. And then you're like calling the fucking cops over something as small as that. Like that is that's so crazy. And then you go out and you, in a statement, say, I called the cops because I have to defend myself. And I know they're not going to do it. And that's what being black in America is because of racism. Fuck you guys. Like, shut your trap. And then don't try to take the money away from those people whose time you're going to waste. It's unbelievable.
You know,
she's in such a realistic position to take funds away from that police department. And she's doing shit like this. It's despicable. Sorry.
One of the one of the leaders of that bunch that protested on that private street in St. Louis, where those you know, where the big houses were, where the guy came out and he had an AR and his wife fucking
At a
made the mistake
PPK,
of pointing a fucking gun at people. That wasn't so smart. But anyway, she got, and this, you know, I found this weaving in and out of rabbit holes on the internet. She got charged, she and a handful of others got charged with trespassing. And her response was, I experienced fear for my life in that event, and you're charging me with trespassing? Well, hey, lady, they're called independent events. So you may well have feared for your life, but the fact of the matter is, you broke a law. You went on a private property, which is trespassing. So they gave her and a couple of others tickets. And she couldn't separate in her mind that I did something wrong and somebody. So let's just, for the sake of this conversation, let's just say that that guy and his wife illegally brandished weapons. Let's just say that, whether it's a crime or not. Okay, so they pointed guns and they exerted undue fear and broke the law in the manner by which they handled a firearm. Okay. And then a bunch of people either broke down or went through a broken down gate, and there was clearly a sign, this is private property, no trespassing, and they went in nonetheless and made noise. And just going in quietly is trespassing, made noise, and now they're getting tickets for trespassing. And she's like, but we feared for our lives. Yeah, but you trespassed. So those guys are going to get their day in courts and what they did with their guns, and if they broke the law, they're going to answer to it. And you trespassed, and you got a $100 ticket, and you're going to pay your $100. And they're fucking independent events. And shut the fuck up and understand that there's rules. Oh my God, man.
This is my okay. I have to say this because I really appreciate you bringing that up because I need to say it up front because of how fucking annoying people are, and if you're the person who's going to react to this in a negative light, you're the fucking person I'm talking about before I say any of this. But it's a hypothetical thought experiment. Okay, I'm not saying that we should do this, or it wouldn't be wrong, or it would be right if we did do this.
Okay,
but
tread carefully.
If you're someone, because that is me treading carefully right there. Because immigration was a big thing for the 2016 election. If you just turned the entire United States-Mexico border into just a wall of fucking buzzsaws or whatever you wanted to do, and it was just molten hot lava, and it was impossible, hypothetical situation, of course, just accept it at its terms. If it was just unpassable, untraversable, right, without bodily
we get it.
Harm to your life,
buzzsaws, sharks, lava. Got it.
There are people out there who'd say that's fucked up because all they were doing was crossing the border, and it's like, at some point, you're going to trespass, and it doesn't fucking matter what your problem was, is you were breaking the law, and you got turned into jello, human jello, or whatever the case is. It's like, you got charged with trespassing because you were trespassing. It doesn't matter that you feared for your life after you tried to climb a fucking wall made of buzzsaws. I'm not the guy who put the buzzsaws there anyway. It's been like this for a while. I don't know. And we have to... The point is not to say that you should kill people that try to break into the United States illegally. It's just a hypothetical that demonstrates the point that you're trying to make.
Here's a hypothetical that maybe could put both of these into perspective. You're driving down the freeway. You decide, you know what? I'm going to go 100 fucking miles an hour. So if you're going 100, cars that are going 60 is like you going 40 and them standing still, right? And let's say there's an accident. And then, witness statements are taken, skid marks are, measured and examined, and after the fact, they determine that the driver going 100, they can determine, forensically, that they were going at least 80 miles an hour. And they're like, okay, So we don't know who was to blame for the accident, but we know you were going at least 80. So you're getting a speeding ticket. That would be like responding going, it ended in an accident that was so traumatic. How can you be giving me a speeding ticket? Because you're fucking speeding.
Do you remember the Stella? Yeah, that's a good one. But do you remember we should do a whole fucking show on this because I feel so strongly about this, but the Stella suits, where it was like a woman who, it's basically where a jury fucks up. And I'll say that to start. It's not like the law is designed like this, but a jury fucks up. So a woman was at McDonald's and she's ordering a coffee and it was too hot and she dropped it on her hand or her lap or whatever the fuck, and it burned the shit out of her.
She put it in between her legs and it burned her crotch. Yeah,
rough
yeah.
for her. That's rough.
Yeah, that was like 15, 20 years ago.
Right. Now, I believe that led to the common parlance, which is a Stella suit or a Stella case, or whatever the fuck it is because of her name. But you get these cases where it's like a dude, and this is a real one that I learned about in a college course. This is like a dude goes to break into a house through the garage. The garage is locked on him, and the inside of the house, the inside door is locked on him, and he has to end up spending 10 days in the garage eating dog food to survive. And then when the family gets back, he's like, what the fuck? I couldn't get into your house, or I couldn't break out of your garage. And then he sues them and wins the case, even though he was breaking the fucking law by breaking into their homes. It's like shit like that where the bad guy actually wins, not the chick. It's the opposite outcome of when the girl who gets charged with trespassing, but like that guy should be charged with breaking and entering, and then the family should have no liability there.
So how did he get stuck?
Something to do with the garage door opener and the door leading from the garage into the home being locked. I don't know. He couldn't.
So was it foreseeable to the
obviously?
Was it foreseeable though to the homeowner that somebody could get trapped, or was it even potentially arranged that way?
Well, I don't know if it was potentially arranged that way, but at some point you're gonna be like, you could obviously just kick the door down, or like unhook the garage door thing and lift it up. Yeah. So
here's the thing. It sounds like there's some important details missing, because I had real estate law in college, and oh my God, Professor Seidel, going to this guy's class was like going to a comedy show for me. He had the driest sense of humor. Oh, I laughed out loud most classes, and 90%, 99% of the class, it was a big lecture, did not get his humor. This guy was fucking hilarious. People would laugh.
That's the fucking best. And then, yeah.
People would laugh. They'd get like contagious giggles from me, because I'd be back near the back of the class, cracking up, laughing out loud. And it would just make this guy keep on, because he meant to be funny. Like, I don't know if you've ever watched Jordan Peterson in some of his lectures online. He's fucking hilarious. He's funny. But he
also gets very emotional and taken away with himself sometimes.
But specifically in his college lectures, he's like this. He makes these over-exaggerated, hilarious points, and nobody laughs. And it's hilarious to me. Anyway, so this guy's we're talking about trespassing, and he's like, one of the things that a guy did was he set up, he was going on vacation, or I don't know, when he would leave the house for, longer than a day. And he would take shotguns and he would saw the barrels off, right? So you got huge scatter shot, and he somehow would take the door and, like with a string and a set of pulleys and like a tripod and the shotgun. If you open the door, the shotgun,
you're dead.
Well, it would like blow your, part of the reason he made them saw it off was it was so it didn't kill you. It just fucked you up. And
it has a wider burst at that point. Yeah, wider. Color.
Yeah, and he used like, bird shot, but he's like, this is illegal. There is some expectation that while you're away, whether lawfully or unlawfully, somebody might open your door, so you can't just booby trap your home. And and expect that it's going to be okay. So I would guess that the suit you're talking about, there was probably like some reasonable expectation that somebody could get trapped in there.
But here's my issue, because at this point, if the mailman is like, oh fuck, that dude's door is ajar, I'm gonna go do him a solid and close the door, and he gets his arm blown off by a fucking booby trap that you intentionally set up to harm people, it's a very different scenario where like the mailman is like, oh, these people have a hold order on their mail for the next 14 days. I'm gonna fucking break in, and then as soon as I'm gonna steal some shit, and they won't even know that I'm there because I'm whatever. Who cares? Whatever the case is, it's a very different story. Also, based on your intent, the guy, I believe, admitted that he was there to rob them in the lawsuit.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the shotgun thing, though. If somebody's breaking into your house to kill you, not knowing you're home, or harm you, or take your shit, you still just can't trap your house.
Okay, so now that being said,
let's find this case.
That is the law.
I'm very intrigued. I'm very, very intrigued by the detail.
I will find it, and there's like a list of I had a whole textbook on it. There's like 20 of them. They're fucking great. But
Stella
essentially,
laws?
what it comes down to is just, I gotta find them. But essentially, what it comes down to is that the jury fucks up and is like, you get $1 million for that or whatever, because you shouldn't have had to eat dog food and drink Gatorade for 10 days. And it's like, no, you shouldn't have broken into that fucking house, you degenerate. Yeah. As a degenerate, I can call that guy a degenerate. Now, the thing that matters to me is not whether or not it's legal currently or illegal currently. That's one discussion, but whether or not it should be. It's like, I think you should be able to blow someone's arm off for trying to open your door illegally.
It's a slippery slope.
There should be no legal qualms with the molten lava moat as the United States border.
Oh, now you're testing my memory. There's also now other things come into play here, which is whether or not it's posted. So if you like put a big fat sign that says "Warning,
beware of
shotgun behind this door," upon entrance, firearm will be discharged, then that changes things, right? So if you post certain things. So I don't know what exactly happened in the garage, but if there was a sign that says "Warning," this garage is, double locked, and entrance will ensure that you, that if you come in here, you'll never leave and ultimately starve to death. Then,
but I don't know that was the case.
But then, what if somebody? Hang on. What if somebody with an IQ of 70 who can't read and/or understand goes in your garage, and then you fucking lose that one? Right?
Darwinism, bro. Sorry.
Or it's not in Braille, and a blind guy does it.
We're just cleaning out the evolutionary pool, the gene pool, by doing that. But and I seriously feel that way. But here's where I like your point to the signage, because if you've done a ton of out west skiing, and they have signage everywhere out there. If you go in kind of the more backwoodsy shit, mortars. We shoot mortars here regularly. Watch the fuck out.
Danger avalanche area.
Go.
Yep.
Yeah, danger avalanche area, and then my favorite one was the picture of a guy getting blown to bits by a explosion. But and they also have pictures up there where it's like, caution, trees don't move, like get out of the way or whatever. All that stuff is liability, but like if they have to do that, you shouldn't have to do that at your house. Like, don't break into my fucking house. It's not your house. That's what I don't like about it. Like, I could have a fucking guillotine swing down and cut your head off, and then you'd be like, it's castle doctrine or whatever in Michigan, so you're fine technically.
I wish I remember what it was called, but
so do I. I know you're talking from a legal perspective. I'm talking more from a philosophical perspective, but
no, I get it. I get it. And I don't agree with, certain kinds of Darwinism,
Sure. Yeah.
Kind of like legalizing all drugs.
As humans, we've kind of surpassed that anyway.
It's kind of, what if somebody, ODs on heroin? Well, what if?
I don't know that that's Darwinism.
Should you barefoot water ski? That's a pretty good way to break your neck. Yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't die from it, and it didn't make you sterile.
Well, if I broke my neck 6 vertebrae higher, I'd have died instantly. Well, not instantly, but I'd have died in minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
you see my point.
Even though you're closely related to that hypothetical, I would say, yeah. I don't know about deserves to die, but Darwin would say that you deserve to die, and not Charlie. I wouldn't say that Charlie. Thinks that you deserve
That's
to
my
die
point.
For that.
That's my
it's
point.
Just, you have to have a reasonable expectation that that's something that can end your life. Yeah.
If you willingly choose to take risk, or if you take risk as an idiot, there will be circumstances, and that's how shit works. That's just how it fucking works. So
womp womp. I want to play that sound effect.
No.
If I was the judge at that hearing,
joke,
I would have said womp womp. Case dismissed. Yeah. Get the fuck out. Don't rob a house.
When I first got hurt, some lawyer learned of this, a friend of a friend of a friend kind of thing. She called me on the phone. I'm laying in fucking bed in the hospital. She calls me on the phone. Hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm a liability attorney. And I think you have a case. And I said,
really?
I thought for a minute, and then I'm like, okay, how so? She goes, it's my understanding you were wearing a protective barefoot suit. And I said, yeah. Like, where the fuck is she going with this? And she goes, so you broke your neck. I'm like, yeah. And she goes, well, the protective suit did not keep you from breaking your neck. I said, yeah, well, it had padding that keeps you from bruising your ass, basically. And maybe your arms and your back. It didn't have any kind of neck bracing.
If I'm not mistaken.
She goes, but maybe you thought, if you were wearing that suit, you were protected from all injury, and we should go after that suit because they advertise it as a protective suit. And I'm like, lady, you know what? I had absolutely no expectation that gave me any kind of protection from breaking, from danger in terms of life and limb, including breaking my neck. And she's like, well, that I'm like, look, I had no expectation it was going to protect my neck. If you asked me if I had any inclination that it would keep me from breaking my neck, I'd tell you no. Please go away. And I was like, oh my fucking God. And she's like, basically, you just got to she's kind of like buy into this little white lie and, we can make some money.
Well, yeah, she's like, Chris, you can tell me whatever you want. I'm just asking you to say this to a jury.
Exactly.
And you're like, what the fuck? Wait, and that's the other problem with honor these days. My God. Anyway. There's so many people who be like, oh, I can say that, and lawyers like contributing to the fucking the contributing to the corruption in the system, just by being like there to solicit you. Yeah.
She kept saying, well, did it say protective? Did it say protective? I'm like, lady, go away. I'm laying in a fucking hospital bed trying to figure out what the fuck my life's going to be like. Go away. It was unreal. Oh. You brought up that Uber thing. Do you remember a week or two ago, I brought up a guy who was on Morning Joe, and I said, I'm pretty sure he's a college professor, pretty sure he does quite well for himself. And he was talking about when I want to go out for a walk or a run or ride my bike, where do I go? Where do I go? Do you remember that? Maybe I didn't tell you.
Refresh my memory because I'm starting to like this. Just the way that
you're they're talking about the whole he's black. He's a regular contributor on Morning Joe, Morning Mika, my friend, and they're just talking about cops and whatever expectation, white, black, or otherwise, you might have, like just getting randomly shot by a cop on a given day in a given place. And he's like, I'm a black man experiencing this hell. And he's like, when I want to go out of my front door in the morning to take a walk my dog, or get some exercise, where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go? And I'm thinking, dude, I'm pretty sure you're a college professor. You're on this fucking show, which you're not doing for free. I don't know what else you do with yourself, but I really, really doubt you live in a dangerous neighborhood. Whether it's from crime in and around your neighborhood that's random, or an increased, and I'll grant you that if you live in a bad area, the likelihood of having a bad experience with a cop is exponentially higher. But this guy, like, what are you talking about? So
Yeah,
his name is Eddie Glaude. He is a professor at Princeton. Now, I've never been to Princeton, but I had a close friend who worked there for a couple of years, and she said that it was like beautiful. It is the southwest corner of New Jersey, and it's just like the middle of nowhere, and it's this little college town, and it's small and, like, on a relative scale, very safe, very wealthy. It's like forested and beautiful. So this guy, his annual salary just at Princeton is estimated to be $200,000. And then he gets whatever other income he gets from appearances on shows and public speaking engagements. And so he's making $200,000 plus a year, maybe plus. And then on networthpost.org, his net worth is estimated at $6 million. So where do you go? You go out of your lovely fucking home in Princeton, New Jersey, on your beautiful curvy treed streets, and you got nothing to worry about it, and you know it. And all you're doing is fucking fueling a fire. This just fucking
and if
makes
you
me
do,
sick.
You already went over this in terms of his net worth, and I had a client once who was a professor at Princeton University, and I'm pretty sure his net was $160 per year. But yeah, so it's like you're doing okay. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But if you do live in a shitty area where you're going to be subject to, like we mentioned, gang violence, targeted racism, and or police brutality, you've been saving a lot of money for fucking years by living there. You don't live in $1 million home. You probably own that home outright at this point. Get out of there. Just go away. You've built up a lot of equity in that house. Go buy an acre somewhere, and you can walk your fucking dog till your legs fall off.
I'm reasonably sure.
Don't go on your... What?
But I'm reasonably sure. This is why I brought it up, especially since I found out. Reasonably sure that neighborhood doesn't even exist in Princeton, New Jersey.
Could be true. Yeah. So then, who cares? Oh, you mean the neighborhood that I just described with the three danger factors?
Yes.
Yeah. Doesn't exist.
Where do I go? Where do I go? Dude, shut up. It was tantamount to lying what he did. It was a fairy tale.
He was talking about danger?
He said, when I want to go out my front door and walk my dog or get some exercise or ride my bike, where do I go? Where do I go? You go in your street. Statistically, one of the safest streets in the fucking country is where you go. Exactly what you're talking about.
As two people who live in, I think it was top 5 safest cities in the entire state of Michigan. Does that sound right to you?
At one time, I think Farmington made it. Yeah, it's based on population too.
10
like
years
cities over
there's
50,000 or something like that.
Yeah, there's a homicide once every 11 years, and or maybe it's 7 years. But oh my God, tangent here. One time I was in high school and I was talking about this with my buddy. I'm just like, Farmington Hills is so fucking safe. People don't even die. They die once in 7 years, and it's been 10 or 12 years, so we're due for one. I fucking shit you not. The next day, there was a murder at a party store, but it got robbed. It was the next fucking day. And I was like, I just killed that guy. I killed that guy. I jinxed this whole
pretty
thing.
Sure you didn't. I'm pretty sure you didn't.
Anyways, unrelated, but yeah, we live in... It's fine. You can walk around. Neighborhood's big. There's like hardly ever anybody out. You can do whatever. You can ride a bike. You can.
So Farmington Hills is 80,000 people. The corner of 8 Mile and Inkster is not the nicest neighborhood.
And it's still not bad. I mean,
where I'm going with this is relative to Princeton, New Jersey. We live in the hood.
Sure, it's like Cranbrook
Eddie,
here in Michigan.
Yeah, Eddie, you
Fucking
fucking
Eddie
hypocrite.
His last name sounds like something that
Oh,
you would like
my.
cough up, like a
Gloth.
bolus or something. Anyway, yeah, Glod.
Well,
Yeah,
at least
so
it's not Eddie Horker,
I don't get that joke.
like coughing up a horker. A loogie.
I don't
Eddie
know what
Loogie.
a horker is. Oh, Eddie Loogie. Ew,
A
yeah.
Luger. A
They have to
loogie.
change that name.
Okay.
There's some German somewhere named Loogie, or someone who was trying to like escape the Holocaust changed their name from like Luger.
Or
to
Luger, the guy who invented the gun.
That's what I'm saying. So there's some German Jewish family out there. They're like, oh, we'll change the name one letter and we'll be safe. And they like 30 years later, you're like, oh shit, Loogie, goddamn it, we should have seen that coming.
Right.
Anyway,
how are we on time?
We're at an hour. I love criticizing the hypocrites.
Yes,
Because there's so fucking much of it in the government. It just is disgusting.
If I had had that detail, and there would have been no reason for me to go get it, when he did that, I would have screamed at the television that morning. I may have said something anyway. Oh my God. It was, that's why 8-balling exists. This fucking guy.
Fuck yeah, it does.
So insincere.
Yeah.
Like I said, tantamount to lying. Where do I go? You go right out, you go into your neighborhood. There's no safer place to go. The only place safer is locked inside your house in your neighborhood.
Yeah. Locked inside with within your fenced-in neighborhood.
Behind the door.
I want to start throwing this out
shotgun
there.
with the string.
And the booby traps. Yeah.
Right. Right.
It's like pulling teeth.
Why are you doing that?
You said that's what 8-balling is for. What?
Why are you doing that? It's Princeton. It's kind of hairy out there.
I don't want no mailman. I don't want anybody living in my garage for 10 days. That's for damn sure. You said that's what 8-balling is for, just to backtrack 30 seconds or whatever. We should start taking, like, people should start, if you want to talk about something, go ahead and post on the comments section in the video.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
See if it's relevant enough to bring it up. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Also, like and subscribe. We never say that, and that's, like, apparently the first rule of having a YouTube thing. So, like and subscribe, even though I despise the idea of whoring myself out for views.
No, but you know what? I want more people to hear this, because I think there's a lot of good logic that would make people think that's the entire purpose of, I could get the mic and the camera and not go onto YouTube, but the purpose is, and we've talked about this, is to get people to think, to introduce some logic, to peel back, the insincere and incredible news, and just fucking talk about reality.
Yeah, and I think that you and I are. This is a compliment. I think we kind of have grating ideologies and viewpoints at any, like, to start with, at least compared to people that aren't so brainwashed that they can't tell, But like,
that has been suggested to me more than once in my life.
Was that on this show that we were talking about how mean you were? Yeah, it was me and Brian. We were just,
yeah.
I think we had 10 minutes about where we just talked about how you're a mean person.
But I'm not.
No, and
I'm just
Chris
honest.
is not a mean person. He just has resting bitch face. And yeah.
Oh, do I? The Tucker Carlson
look? That's exactly what we talked about. Yeah.
The Tucker Carlson look?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but my point is, in terms of what our ideologies are, I want people to be like, no, you're wrong. Like, I want that too. Because then you're actually getting somewhere. You're not just being like, yeah, you guys are great. Let me suck your dick, and I love that or whatever. But you people are good too. I want that too. I want you to. You got to
retract
life.
that.
That's what the show exists. What?
You got to retract that.
I retract that. Do you retract that bit about my fucking kids?
No.
Name that movie.
No more genital.
Sorry.
What's the word?
Genital references. Okay.
Yeah.
I just used two genital slang terms, so I retract both of them.
Yeah.
One of them was a quote though from a movie In Bruges from Ralph Fiennes, but it's okay. I won't repeat it. We want everybody, but I also especially want you to challenge me because I am wrong about a lot of shit, and Chris is too, and he doesn't see that. So I'm just kidding.
I don't. I'm never wrong. No, the best thing is when you have a really founded opinion and there's another way to look at it that you never considered. That's a great thing. That's a great thing. Yeah. That's growth, man.
And then I'll feel stupid and I'll be like, oh, fuck. But it's a good feeling. Because it means that, no, it's a good feeling because it means you're advancing. You're developing. You're like,
for sure.
Oh my God, I thought that taxation was theft at one point in my life.
That's part of what this country, the political system, the party system's all about. Is you get like diametrically opposed ideas.
I love that word.
But you don't engage in cancel culture. You engage in conversation, and then you fix something, or you at least learn something. Right? So, hey, if I'm all fucked up in the way I'm thinking about something, at least as far as somebody else is concerned, and there's reasonable points to be had, you're not going to just, scream and say, you're wrong. You're just wrong. Why? Because you are. Well,
yeah, fuck you. Right?
I'll take the argument all day long. The cancel culture, I'm not sure we're looking for that, but those people don't want to talk anyway. But yeah. Like and subscribe.
So you don't spread.
Yeah. But like and subscribe, and like Charlie said, comment. It'll help the show grow.
Tell us why we're wrong. Yeah.
Or just
my grandfather,
and
I wish I had my mom to what?
Or something we talked about. And hey, you guys talked about so and so, but you left out these 5 really important things.
Like I'm pretty sure I glazed over the wall thing. So like if I missed anything with the hypothetical ultimate killer wall, let me know so I can hone that in. But
what was the first your first thing? Buzz sauce?
Yeah, buzz sauce. My brother said landmines. He's like, because then it's just kind of like you could make it, but it's like he's like you could kind of make it. But anyway, my grandpa used to always say a banana. He's been dead for a while. I think he used to always I should ask my mom what the hell this is, but he loved being wrong because that means that he got somewhere better. So tell us when we're fucking wrong, and we're not so snobby that we're gonna be like, no, fuck you, but that way we can get better too and provide you, the viewer, folks at home, which is my favorite terminology for you, with a better viewing experience.
We had Noah on. That was a great show.
The libertarian socialist.
Right. He kind of burst our bubble when he wasn't a communist, but that's okay.
Yeah. About that whole communism thing.
Right. And he's probably I kind of outgrew that.
And he'd become half of basically the fucking exact ideology that I had told him about 2 months prior. Whatever. Good guy. He's like, I'm going to take this little snippet, but I still like socialism a little bit. Just a taste. Just a of that. But and I wish there was more of a community thing to this because I love doing this shit, and I this part of my week is the most intellectually open that I get, and it's like all too brief. Like a Sunday morning is like pretty much all I get when I'm looking at shit. So give me more. Manja. Give me more shit.
Yeah. All right. Shall we call it?
Yeah, but you have to ask the 8-ball question.
Oh. All right. I'm going to put the question on you. I don't know. I learned something, and it kind of bothered me. I don't think it was sincere. I don't think she's sincere. How do we get a question out of this? Kamala Harris very recently made some public address, and she said, my pronouns are she and her. And I'm like, oh my God, really? Okay. This isn't a yes or no question. I suspect that Kamala Harris is an insincere opportunist and only moves towards the light. Am I correct? And moves towards the power.
My reply is no.
Damn.
I'm not gonna lie to you. It said no. It was teetering on better not tell you now, and then it went to my reply is no.
Well, you know what? That's a good thing. If I'm wrong, it's a good thing.
You did provide, huh? Yeah.
If I'm wrong, it's a good
in
thing.
There you threw in a modifier. You said only. So, who only moves towards the light? And it's like maybe 1 out of 100 times she doesn't. Then the 8-ball's correct.
Well, at least she's not evil.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, and
it is.
This is, again, here we go. Here, that statement right there. How many people would be like, Donald Trump's not evil or whatever? And they're like, oh man, you're not evil, what? And it's like, no, it's a good thing because he's your fucking president. I don't want Joe Biden to be evil just because I don't like the guy.
Right.
I would prefer him to be better. I don't know.
For sure.
That is one of the things that we need to mend. Yeah.
You know, yeah, one other thing, now that you brought it up, because you got my gears going, and I did want to say this week, is in his speeches, he has said, and I hope he means this, and I hope he acts on it, and I wish all politicians realize this, is you got elected. In most elections, a big win would be 55-45. And if you're rounding to the nearest 10, that means half of your constituency didn't vote for you. Which means half the people you represent, you owe representation to.
Yeah.
And don't forget that. So Biden said, I'm going to be the president for everyone. I realize 70 million people didn't vote for me, but I'm their president too. And I really, really, really hope he means that, because people lose sight of that. Because people get in office, and then the first thing is, all I'm going to do is take down the other side so that we win come 4 years from now. And that's just fucked up.
And that's why I don't want, I feel like both of us are like trying to get in the last word, but this is just a good point to be made. We talked about this, I think it was last week, when we were just saying if Trump gets into office or whatever the case was, it's like, I'm happier for you because I know that under his guidance, it'll be better for you too. Not just because you'll be a salty bitch about it, but the thing that bugs me about Biden is that I don't think that he's making a better America for me. Now, it's not, and I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that's my concern. And you're right. I do hope that he is someone that I will look up to and be like, he actually improved my life over these last 4 years. 38 days that he has left to live. But yeah, it's whatever. It's something like that.
Yeah, like I think the point you're making is it goes both ways. We want our president to succeed whether we voted for him or not. And he should represent us whether we voted for him or not.
Right. I don't want the economy to fucking collapse because it's not my guy who gets the credit for that. That's not what I want, and you shouldn't want that either.
Right.
Okay? Bill Maher.
And for the next 4 years,
idiot.
you could say, right, I was right. He sucks.
Yeah,
that's not good for America.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah, that's a good way to end it. I think good vibes.
I agree. All right, man, hang loose. Cue up. You don't know what to do?
I don't know. I had a bunch of different hand signs going up there.
Well, just give him the hang loose. Say goodbye to Charlie. Say goodbye to Chris.
Bye, Chris.
Bye-bye.